Hey guys, it's Godbars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 311th episode of my series, where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it has, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. So finally, we've looped back around to another set of personal favorites from the 2000s, and I've been super excited to revisit this decade, because I've accrued so many classic LPs from that time period since I last touched on it. And I had to start off with what's arguably the cream of the crop in this department, as it's a record I had at the top of my wish list for years, which is 2000's Train of Thought, the legendary debut by Reflection Eternal, a duo comprised of MC Talib Kweli, who of course was already featured on the channel long ago in the form of Black Star, his iconic collaboration with Mos Def, also known as Yasin Bey, with the other half of the equation here being the insanely talented Cincinnati-based producer High Tech, who not only played a large role in the Black Star sound, but he also had a hand in projects like Doom by the underground crew Mood, both volumes of the Lyricist Lounge series, Boot Camp Clicks, The Chosen Few, The Games, the documentary, Royal Flush's Ghetto Millionaire, and Blazing Arrow by Black Alicious, just to name a few. The early 2000s was definitely a critical point for veteran rapper Talib Kweli, as we saw him release his solo debut album a couple years later in 2002, appropriately titled Quality, which is yet another classic record I've been trying to get my hands on for years. And you can bet that the second I do, it's going straight onto the docket of LPs to discuss on the page. This is no new topic for the channel, but I feel like I should once again bring up how the turn of the century was one of those true changing points for the genre, where more and more of the rap music dominating the charts seemed to be straying further and further from the core tenements the culture was built on. But honestly, this wasn't inherently an all bad thing, with guys like 50 Cent showing you can make an album full of chart-topping bangers that's still enjoyable and commendable as a front-to-back listening experience. And either way, the perceived slippage of hip-hop and its values instigated a spark amongst the underground and gave them an even stronger desire to rebel against the norm, and succeed in the industry without compromising their message and beliefs. When it came to the late 90s and early 2000s, there was really no lack of innovative, progressive artists that, similar to Reflection Eternal and Black Star, studied at the feet of the native tongues and played a dire role in keeping the jazzy, Afrocentric, and thought-provoking side of the genre alive and thriving, many of which fell under the wide-reaching umbrella of the Soulquarians collective, some examples being Erykah Badu, Questlove of The Roots, Common, Jay Dilla, and the rest of Slum Village. But there were without a doubt plenty of other acts that may have existed outside of this core group, but still kind of contributed to the movement in their own way. I'm talking about guys like Dead Prez, Jurassic 5, or Cunning Linguists, just to name a few. I don't think I could necessarily call Train of Thought the single best project released by a Soulquarian, as that honor would almost definitely have to go to The Roots for their 1999 masterpiece Things Fall Apart. That is, of course, unless you're including Donuts. But honestly, I think Reflection Eternal's breakout LP here could easily be argued as a top 5, maybe even top 3 release to come out of the movement, because this team of Talib and High Tech couldn't be more of a well-oiled machine, with a wide range of instrumentals that reach across multiple genres, and set up Kweli to deliver his sharp, rapid-fire lyrics, which consist of so many clever metaphors and witty pieces of wordplay, you'll find yourself missing something with virtually every other bar if you aren't paying close attention. I've always respected Talib's technical and highly rehearsed style because he never takes a single line for granted, packing as much information into a verse as he possibly can, while still being objective enough to take a step back, look at the full picture, as well as ensure that no moment appears sloppy or rushed, and no idea comes off half-baked or ill-conceived. I also really love this LP because it's a super cut and dry example of a stellar album that doesn't really need any frills to stand out. It's just amazing samples, top tier MCing, and skilled chemistry filled guest appearances, which often do their job of bringing out the best in Talib's pen. One example that comes to mind of this phenomenon is with the Cool G rap featuring Ghetto Afterlife, where as tempted as I am to share a bit of the masterclass G rap gives us, it makes a lot more sense to read the opening verse from Kweli, where to be fair, he doesn't break a sweat holding his own against this face on Golden Age hip hop's Mount Rushmore. He kicks off this lyrical slaughterfest rapping, "These rappers ain't thugs, the real thugs is the government. Don't matter if you independent, Democrat, or Republican. People politic in the street, get into beef, start blasting, now a new cat is executive chief. With a passion for heat, you get blast in your seat. Die before you crash in your Jeep, never passing in your sleep. Like an old man, you ain't a fool, you got a whole plan to conquer territories like Europeans who stole land. The future of your whole fam hang in the balance, you the king and your block is the palace. Y'all homies is the parliament, untouchable, spot unrushable, keep your weight wet, call and collect to save a buck or two. Get mad, who the fuck are you, what you gonna do? Exactly what I thought, nothing, in the sport of frontin'. You the undisputed champion, I'm in a class you can't be in. My words is flesh like Jesus the Aquarian. Real quick, I also want to share the killer hug these two veterans share on here, starting with Talib, who says, "It's just a chapter of the night in the ghetto afterlife where you just seen or heard about or gonna have to fight." Then Cool G Rap takes the mic to finish the second half, rapping, "Where they sacrifice the life and people see flashes of light when you trapped up in the heights but clappers aiming at the wife." That Titan isn't anywhere near the only one featured on Train of Thought though, as we not only get legendary comedian Dave Chappelle providing his comedy for certain skits, but there's also guest appearances from Vinia Mojica, Mos Def aka Yasin Bey, Rez, Rod Digga, Kendra Ross, Les Nubians, Pecan, Super Dave West, Exhibit, and De La Soul. And it's also worth mentioning that while High Tech spends most of his time behind the boards, he too also does get busy on the mic at certain points here, and his style, flow, and pen really isn't anything to sneeze at. Speaking of whom, virtually all the production was 100% handled by Tech, with the only assists being given by Weldon Irving and Kweli, who each co-produced one track respectively. I probably would have put Ghetto Afterlife in the top 3 when it comes to my favorites here, but since the track list is so stacked and I already dove into that song specifically, I'm gonna just have it as an honorable mention instead, alongside Move Something, Some Kind of Wonderful, Too Late, Down for the Count, Good Morning, Name of the Game, Love Language, and Eternalists. Then with my overall top 3 favorite tracks, I think I would ultimately have to go with The Blast, This Means You, and Soul Rebels. Thank you for watching my 311th video. Next up we have another pretty iconic and essential 2000s LP, but it's pretty much the polar opposite of the record we discussed today, thematically and sonically. So look out for that upload, and if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what moments you enjoy the most off this thoughtful and political hip-hop protest piece. Don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay? Alright.